Pietro is a multiple Oscar, BAFTA, and Eddie nominee and winner who's worked with many leading directors on some of this generation's most impactful films. His body of work includes Stealing Beauty with Bernardo Bertolucci, Memoirs of a Geisha with Rob Marshall, and his Oscar-nominated Good Will Hunting with director Gus Van Sant. And he's perhaps best known for his longtime collaboration with Ridley Scott for films such as The Martian, his Oscar-nominated Gladiator, and Oscar-winning Black Hawk Down. Before we go into the individual scenes, generally speaking, when you start a scene, how do you begin to build that scene? What is your approach?
Well, it starts, very early on when when I read the script and you get a sense of what the scene is about, and I usually make notes in the script. So when I get the material from the previous day, it's one of the best moments seeing the actual footage, coming to life and having it in front of you. And what I do is my initial viewing, after the assistants have put the material together, is to make mental notes of what I react to, kind of instinctual things that I like about the material, performances, and those first impressions are key for me. So I don't immediately build a scene. I wait till I have all the material. So sometimes scenes take more than a day to get it. But I start assembling it, or at least choosing the takes that I like. After I screen the dailies with Ridley, I get some more input. But before I actually start building it, I read the script one more time, the page, just to get that sense of the initial impressions that I had. And then when I start building it, and I watch the material first, obviously, the dailies one more time, and then I start building it. But the building, I want to do it rather quickly. It's like doing large brushstrokes to get the shape right, or at least the pieces. I don't spend too much time in the minute little bits and pieces. I find the connections in the performances, and I think that the hardest part is always that first step, which the first two steps. The first image, how you open a film, is very, very strong. That first image, that first thing you see is full of expectation. When you go in the movie theater, it's how does it open up, right? That's the one thing you look forward to. And then, obviously, the last image. But the first image is is a virgin image, in the sense that nothing precedes it. I wish it wouldn't have the trailers, but if you could just imagine that you come to the theater and you imagine this, you see this image, you bring everything, all your expectation to it. And your interpretation, going back to watching dailies, is what you bring to that image. And this image is poetic because it evokes a lot of different feelings. And whatever feelings you get from it are good, because the simplicity of it, the simplicity of the cutting to the close-up of Russell Crowe in the film, how we initially started the movie, gives context to that image. And the context, and you later discover, is a theme that carries throughout the film. In a sense, starting a movie with your hero, a close-up of your star, is a great way to immediately make the audience identify with your main character. By placing the image of the hand before the close-up, everything you've experienced it, now you connect to that character, and you can see that it's an internal image. It's either a memory or a desire or some premonition about something. It doesn't matter. You own that image for yourself, and you also come to understand that the whole movie, the whole story of Maximus as a gladiator, as a hero, like any hero's journey in classical terms, is an internal journey. It's a journey of the hero transforming himself internally, not obviously from outside forces, but that was the key for me and for Ridley to tell the story. every decision we made was about this internal drive of the hero. It's a simplistic story in some sense. I mean, it's basically a man who wants to, the story of a man wanting to go back home, wanting to be with his family. But that those choices of having the internal motivation and coming to realizing later on that it was a premonition about the afterlife is also relates to how Romans felt about afterlife. That the afterlife was more important than life. Death was way more important than what happened after death. So our choices about music, how we tell and structure the scene based on this simple fact that the hero's journey is an internal journey of transformation. I want to talk a little bit about Black Hawk Down, then introduce the clip. It's just that Black Hawk Down, I mean, the way Ridley shot it, it was very much, I mean, with a lot of material, with 11 cameras. It felt like a documentary. I was getting a lot of material. And he would limit his shooting to maybe 2 or 3 takes a day. So when you do a very complex action film and action sequences, usually they break down these actions in really small parts because they're complex, with explosions, with firing, with wires, and they break it down into storyboards, previs, and everything is built based on that. Well, Ridley decided to shoot the full action sequence in one take with multiple cameras. So 8 to 10 minute takes, coordinating all the actors, having Steadicam operators on the set, running with the actors, fixed cameras, helicopter shots, A unit camera, B unit. I mean, 11 cameras. So you can imagine, I was getting for one take, 10 times 10 is 100 minutes of all this material for all different cameras. So it was a vast amount of material and to sift through it. So I was not happy. I mean, I hated that film, working through it. My wife remembers that, and my assistants as well. But it was painful because it was just so much. When we put the film together, it was very hard to understand at a certain point in the film where everybody is. And so we made the suggestion to Ridley that maybe we should explain. This team is there, that the other people are there. And by this time, again, like with JFK, it's geography. You establish images from helicopter view. You understand where things are, but you need to regroup and get the audience back on track to understand where we are. And so, basically, Ridley agreed, and they wrote a little scene, basically standing in front of the blackboard, saying this team is there, then, and so forth, and to get the audience back on track.
Everything is prepared. It seems you have won your freedom.
Proxima, are you in danger of becoming a good man?
I mean, the perfect example of how you rewrite and adjust the film is when 3 weeks before we finished shooting Gladiator, Oliver Reed died. And we still had 4 scenes of him to shoot. And this was tragic, but what do we do with a half-finished character, an important character? The studio, everybody, the producers convened. They said, the insurance is willing to pay for all reshooting everything. That we shot in Morocco. We were in Malta this time, but we didn't want to. I mean, we loved this character. We loved what Oliver Reed had brought to it. So it was about figuring out what can we salvage. How can we salvage this character in the movie? What do we need? One scene? Well, he still had 4 scenes left to do. Maybe 1, 2 could culminate, but how do you do it? From behind with a double cheat. Well, that's not really a scene. You can have one shot like that. So we with the writers, we went back and looked at all the material that we had of Oliver Reed, literally all the shots.
Right.
And Ridley is so good at storyboarding. We're just throwing out ideas, and he would draw it. Oh, we can use this shot. We can use this wide shot, this medium shot here. We can cheat it this way, double the hand. We just constructed based on the material that we have, how we can change that material, and what additional things we needed to shoot. And on the day, we had figured it out. And we were, have a daylight close-up of Oliver Reed. We could make it into night. Well, we were early stages of digital. He had a beard. Well, we needed to shave him, put him in the shadow. With a lot of little tricks, double, comping different shots with different backgrounds of him walking that we had. Different elements came together. But on the day when they were shooting, Russell again was like, "What are we doing? Why are we shooting this plate?" And basically, it called me on the set and had to explain to him that we are using a line from a previous film, like Oliver Reed tells Maximus that win the crowd and you will win your freedom. And this is a scene where basically Oliver Reed's character, Proximo, gives him his freedom and hands him the key. And so the only line he had to say says, "You've won your freedom," right? So the only word is freedom that I could actually use from the previous take of Oliver Reed. Everything else was cheated. And Ridley called me on the set, explaining to him all the shots that we had to do, plates, him saying the line. I said, "I'm talking to what? What am I talking to?" Well, showed him the footage. He didn't understand the footage. You see this line where he said before, he's going to say that one, and then he's going to hand you the key. And he said, "Well, that's not." Russell goes, "That's not really a scene. I have to say something." And I said, "Let me look at that take. That full take." And in that particular take, where Oliver Reed said that line, at the end of the thing, this is a credit to Russell. Oliver Reed goes with his head, like that, just a reaction like that. He said, "Oh, I want to say something. What could I say?" And on the spot, Russell Crowe came up with the line, "Are you in danger of becoming a good man?" In order to use that reaction, ha. And so we had the scene. We literally we constructed just out of collaboration and the moment. And it is hard making films, but when everybody is on the same page and collaborates, you can pull out good stuff.
Yeah.